Hello, everybody, and much like the last video, I believe so if I'm putting this up the way I think I am. This is another case that I have had researched, pre-filmed for a while, lost all of it, and now have had to redo everything. And Chadwick is someone who I've wanted to tell you guys about for a while, so I'm thankful that I can finally do that, and if you're hearing this, it finally worked. So, we're talking about Chadwick Carr today. I've seen his name floating around. I believe I might have seen a couple people talk about him in older videos, and so I had him on my list to talk about, and I am excited to be able to do that today. All the links that I use for research will be down below, like always, and let's go ahead and get into this. So, around the time that he went missing, Chadwick had turned his life around. He was working a new job, and he had saved up to buy his van. So he's described as loving and outgoing, and he always greeted his mom with a hug and a kiss. His mom says that she always knew what was going on with him, good or bad, and she was always willing to help Chadwick. Chadwick did have a problem with drugs for a while before he was introduced to a sober living community in Clinton called the Foundation Recovery House off rural Dutch Valley Road. The program is 3 months long, and through the house, he got connected to employment and he bought his van, and everyone says that he was doing really well. On May 1st, 2021, there was a phone call between Chadwick and his sister Whitney that would be the last known communication with him. So Whitney was calling just to check on him, and she says it wasn't a long conversation. He walked outside and was talking to someone outside, and she kept calling his name, but he wouldn't reply. He remained on the line, but it seemed like he may have put down the phone. His voice was faint on the other end, so she hung up. So Whitney, she did call back, but Chadwick didn't answer. That was at 8 p.m. that night. So she called around 3 p.m. the next day, and one of his friends at the house called her to tell her that he hadn't shown up for a group meeting or work that afternoon. Chadwick had left his phone, wallet, van keys, his van, and one flip-flop in the grass at the front of the house, but he was nowhere to be seen. So police were called. They searched the recovery house property. They questioned people multiple times, and over a 3-day span, they had cadaver dogs, drones, divers, and people searching everywhere. So they were just out there doing everything they could to try to find Chadwick. But there was no trace of him. 3 years later, and we still have no answers, but his family remains hopeful. Now, because he is still technically missing, and there's been no body found or anything like that, I am going to tell you his description, just in case you have maybe seen him, or you can pass that along to someone else. So, at the time, Chadwick was 32 years old, and he would be 36 now. He was about 5'9". He was 230 pounds. He was last seen in a black tank top, black shorts, and tan flip-flops. He had black hair and eyes, and he had tattooed sleeves on both arms and a tattoo on his chest. Anybody with any information is urged to contact the Anderson County Sheriff's Office, at 865-457-6255. So what do you guys think happened? I believe in one article it said that in the phone call, I'm not sure how true this is because I think it was one article, that it sounded like maybe he was arguing with one of the other guys there, or he was having a very lively conversation with one of the other guys there. And because basically he's outside talking to someone, Whitney hangs up, and then she calls back and he doesn't answer. It feels like whatever happened to him happened in that brief time. I don't know, something just told me that when he didn't answer that second time she called him back about 8 p.m. that night, it kind of feels like whoever he might have been talking to outside might have done something to him, whether it was a guy at the house or maybe it was somebody driving by or something. It kind of feels like maybe that person and him perhaps got into a scuffle of some sorts. And maybe they did something to him, because it just doesn't make sense that he just would not answer her phone call back, and then he doesn't show up to work the next day, especially when everybody's saying like he's doing so well, and he's just not keeping in contact with his mom, his sister. It just makes really no sense. And to me, my mind went to him possibly getting into a fight with one of the guys that were outside, if that's what that was about, and they did something to him. I don't know what they could have done, like if they had killed him, what they could have done with his body, because they had divers, they had dogs, they were searching for days. It doesn't make sense, like what they could have done with his body, but who knows? Because he's doing so well, I just don't feel like he just up and left, like he just like stopped talking to his sister and just up and left. It does not make sense to me. I know that his family is like still remaining hopeful, but I just feel like foul play is involved somehow, or he was harmed in some way. And it makes me really sad, because he seemed like he was really getting his life on track, and he was just happy, and it just makes me sad that this would have happened to him. But what do you guys think? Do you think that he did maybe just leave for some reason? Do you think maybe one of the guys there did something? What do you think happened in those last moments when he was having a conversation with somebody else and his sister hung up? Let me know your guys' thoughts down below. Thank you so much for listening to Chadwick's story, and I will see you guys very soon. Bye, guys.